And we're live with the Acid Mad podcast. Welcome us to the waiting room.
Welcome,
Um,
welcome.
Great to be here, man. Great to be here.
Selamat datang lah Bang As.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Thank you.
So, how you been getting on, us?
I've been okay.
Are you as depressed as the bloody rest of us?
I freaking have cabin fever, man. It's just like
You're
initially it was okay, right? Then suddenly I realized that wait a sec, did that book move by itself? Where are all the other people in the world? Do they all live in my phone now? Yeah, a bit just cabin fever, just like being at home for so long, or like being extended amounts of time at home. But otherwise, just keeping busy.
Are you even getting
Basically.
that?
You
got a lot of books behind you to read, man. Your dad's.
Yeah, I know,
your
right?
dad's stash.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, man. It's just so much stuff here. I wish I actually make time to read more of the stuff because it's just I could grab.
Take the rest of our lives to finish it.
Dude, yeah, you talk about it, like we got so much stuff at the back here. It's like just massive amount of stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I can imagine the smell. You know when you like. I mean, I don't know if you've
Like
been
bookstore
to like
smell lah, library
the
smell.
bookstore
Yeah.
dekat Penang. Like those
Yeah.
Charasta bookstores and all that.
Calming
Yeah.
smell. You don't need
Yeah.
all that fancy what they use those oils, right? You got book
Yeah.
smell, man.
Just
It's
like
okay.
I like the smell of old books and new books and just like all this different paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the smell of knowledge. That's what it is.
Smell of knowledge.
The smell of
Smell
knowledge.
Yeah.
wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom. Or at least potential wisdom, right? It's there for the
You get a whiff,
taking,
man.
right?
You get a
If
strong
you-
whiff
if
every
you read
morning.
it.
Yes.
My IQ just went up.
Yeah, now kids have got TikTok, which is your IQ going down and down and down and down, and then through a hole in the ground.
I'm a huge Bella Porch fan, though. I gotta say for TikTok, she's like so
I don't
good.
even know what that is. Is that even
Yeah,
Is it a person?
it's a
Or-
person. It's a person. She's massive on TikTok, and she's like she's really good. She's really good.
Really
The
good
single
what,
has-
though?
Check out. Well, you probably will hate her song, but I do love her
She's
single.
grumpy Irish
She
man,
has,
man.
she has,
It took you 30 seconds. It took you 30 seconds to describe what she did. That's bad. That's bad.
she has a new single out, and she has a single. Her first single just came out, and then basically a lot of her TikTok videos are like close up. I think I forgot what's the term for it, but it's very close up, super close up of her face, basically kind of lip syncing to and making faces to things. Yeah,
Oh.
it's TikTok. I mean, it's entertainment. Like,
Yeah.
You've
like
no
you know,
idea.
like I can't do it. She
Yeah,
does it.
Derek's allergic to that, yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, Derek.
I'll take it out. But thanks for the recommendation, man. Yeah.
Yeah, Bella Porch. Bella Porch is amazing,
Bella
man.
Porch.
She's really good.
So
Yeah,
are
she's
you
really good.
are you even able to get a bit of exercise done daily? Because I know you used to do that very early in the mornings.
Pardon?
Exercise. Because I know you used to do some walking in the mornings, stuff like that.
Yeah, I used to do the walking in the morning. I just do like kind of light stretches. I just do some movement, like movement. Like I don't wake up that early anymore. I kind of wake up like
So you are human then. You're not. You're
I
not a machine.
usually I function. I mean I kind of wake up. Usually I start work like about 10:30 or 11 like that. So I don't try. I just like kind of sleep in and then start work at about 10:30, 11.
So,
Yeah, I kind of like wake up, exercise a bit, drink some water, and then I write a daily email. So that's pretty much kind of the first thing I do in the morning, like in terms of work. Yeah, just write my email.
so what's your daily work routine consist of at this moment in time? Being
It's the main two things is I have a email newsletter called Surat Music,
okay.
and it's basically an email I send out every day. I think now about 2,300 people are on the list. And it's basically kind of music tips, music business tips, music career stuff, and it's all in Malay.
Okay.
So I send it out. I write that every day, every morning. Well, not my morning at 11 a.m. or so, and I send that out. And then usually I reply people's messages, or I check out what I need to work on for the day. and the rest of the day is usually either I'm working on a new course, something that I'm recording, and about 5 days a week I do a Facebook Live. I used to do it at about 11:30-ish, but now I probably do it at about 3 or 3:30 for like half an hour to 50 minutes or so Facebook Live. And then after I do the Facebook Live, that goes on my YouTube, and I edit some of the clips for Instagram. Basically, I'm doing a lot of content creation, basically. And when I'm not doing that, I spend time working, kind of designing the new courses that I'm working on, and also material for. I have a new thing called Club Guitar Asamat, which is kind of a guitar club, where you can join and you get a new course every month, and you get a Zoom session where you get to hang out with me and just kind of ask questions. It's called Master. Now I'm calling it Mastermind Music A to Z. So some of the club members will join, and then they'll bring some questions. So we kind of hang out for about an hour, and just go into any kind of guitar or music question that they're interested in.
It's great,
And
it's great that your name's Az, so you can use the A to Z. and it
yeah.
just fits.
Yeah. My podcast is music from A to Z. So I have a
Alright,
podcast that is
Okay.
music from A to Z.
Oh, when do you normally put
You're
out
the real
podcasts?
Mr. A to Z, not just man.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I know,
But
right?
good.
Yeah, I do the wordplay thing. Every time I get a chance to use it, I'll just use it.
It's there,
So,
it's
yeah.
there to be
But
used.
but that's my schedule, man. I mean, I basically like either and I have I work with some guitar students and some clients. Well, I teach guitar,
Yeah.
and I also work with some students. I work with some clients on like social media stuff, like like kind of how to do content marketing, how to do the marketing, the social media stuff. So from time to time, I work with some clients on those kind of things. So that's kind of my new thing, I guess, the past 2 years or so.
Well, that's the thing you've been
as
doing
well.
at the moment, isn't it? Content.
Yeah. I just released 2 courses. One is in Malay. It's called Cara Cipta Content Cepat, and that is basically kind of the philosophy and the basic approach of how I create content at scale, so you can create a lot of content really quickly. And the other one is more about kind of making money from being a content creator. So that one's called literally it's just called How to Make Money as a Content Creator, the basics. I talked to my manager Yin, and Yin said let's go with the more direct title. It's just like, what is this course? It's How to Make Money as a Content Creator, the basics. Like literally it is the basics of how to do that.
Derek, sign up, Derek. Yeah.
Derek will be on TikTok soon.
You should channel your anger into content.
I gotta say though, Derek, if you put like angry TikTok content like this, I don't know, this person in Malaysia.
But please,
Irishman
Malaysia.
caption it.
I think it will be very shareable.
White Irishman just angry at everything.
Yeah, in Malaysia,
you
though.
can tell,
In
man.
Malaysia,
Play
yeah,
on the
in Malaysia.
stereotype. Yeah. The last place people think Irishman will be in is
But like,
Malaysia. And,
guys, I hate myself enough as it is. Like, can you imagine where I would be if I would
make money from it.
Yeah, but I would hate myself even more. It's bad enough.
I just saw a video of this. I don't know how much. I don't know how legit the numbers are, but there was this. I think he's this guy into drop shipping. So he's a drop shipper. I think I don't know what product he was selling. I think it was something to do with like I don't know what the actual product is.
But what's the drop shipping?
Drop shipping.
For audiences, yeah.
Drop
Okay,
shipping
okay,
is-
for the-
drop shipping, because I've got a drop shipping store, but we never get to sell anything. But like drop shipping essentially is you've got an online store. Someone comes out like on Shopee. Someone comes onto your Shopee site. They buy it. You buy it off somewhere in China, and you send it directly. You send it directly to them at a markup.
Middleman lah.
You don't have to
Yeah.
pay. You don't have to have a physical store. You don't have to have anything. You just have to have essentially a virtual shop. So
Yeah.
our virtual shop is called Dark Green's Menagerie. So
What were you
okay,
selling?
okay.
Selling in the
we're
shop.
selling all this
Yeah,
weird
darkness.
weird just kind of weird esoteric stuff that both me and Marina sort of like pendants and chains and
And how is it doing?
awful. Like no one's got it, but we knew that when we started it.
Yeah, you gotta listen to us now. Okay, go us. You tell us your
Listen,
story.
we know
So-
we're doing it wrong. We
Let's
know we're
do
doing
one TikTok
completely
video,
other-
Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
About
it was
your
really
shop.
it was quite interesting because this guy, I mean, it was like a short video. I can send you the link later. But the guy basically, he wasn't on TikTok. I mean, I think it's him and the wife, I think. Him and the wife or him and the girlfriend. They do this drop shipping thing, and they found kind of this niche. I think it's under mental health or something. I don't know what the product is,
Yeah.
but they decided that, why don't we do something on TikTok? So they put what they did was they got like, I think 10, they sent it to 10 of their friends who are on TikTok, and they all posted at the same time, like the same night. Like everyone covered the product and just showed them using it, and the video views went to 60,000, 100,000, or like a lot of views, and they made about 100K USD in sales from that one product. And then what they did after that was they were like, oh man, this works, And so what they did was they actually kind of did research about influencers on TikTok. They were trying to find the people with like 1 million followers and trying to find the most affordable people that they could hire to do a video. And apparently they got some influencer. They didn't mention who, but they paid him or her $1,400 US. And I think that, I don't know whether that one made 100K, but basically from them doing marketing completely on TikTok, the only expenditure they spent on in terms of marketing was about $1,400. They made about 100K. And I think the actual minus cost, they probably made about 60% of that was profit. So probably about, I guess, like 60K. 60K or something like that.
Was this a local Malaysian or American?
No, this is American,
Okay.
but the product's from
they
China,
would-
obviously.
They would have had to pay a load of tax, so America's crazy.
Yeah, but that's why product from China.
I mean, America.
But product from China,
yeah.
murah lah. Yeah.
Product in China, I mean, that's why they made, supposedly they made like about 60K
Yeah.
from that. But I was just like, I just saw the video just now, like literally like I don't know, like an hour ago or something. So I was just like, oh, okay, interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's always there's always success stories and stuff like that on TikTok and stuff like that, but I would still hate myself. Unless
It's okay.
unless somebody handed me.
Nobody can make you love yourself but yourself, Derek. You're the one on that.
But Derek, imagine $100,000 US worth
That's-
of
yeah.
sound equipment,
you
sound
might start to
equipment.
love yourself.
As you're like the fucking devil on the shoulder going, do it.
It's interesting though when you suddenly like have like when you order a board and it arrives in front there, like this, I sold my soul to get like this analog board on TikTok.
Like
I don't know, maybe you'll be happier a little bit,
maybe
at least a
just
bit.
slightly, just slightly. So how did you get into content and creating? Did you do a course? Or you got background, or was it just a natural evolution of just doing it so much you became confident enough to be able to say, I can actually help people here? So how?
I was, for the longest time, I never looked at myself as a content creator because initially, I kind of, to be honest, I kind of had a bad perception when I hear someone say they're a content creator
Yeah, I
rather
think we
than,
all do.
then like
Sorry.
I'm a filmmaker or I'm a musician or I'm a visual artist or something. So I think I had the same kind of perception when someone say, "Oh, I'm a content creator." I'm like, "Really? Are you?" That was my initial thing, and but I think I think over the past few years that's kind of changed because I just like started noticing, like the amazing amount of really creative people that are actually, like really good at content creation. I mean, it's kind of a big label, right? It's like, it's as useful as saying that you're a jazz musician. Like, that's such a huge label for a person, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just to get into the topic, I guess, when I started off, I'm talking like early 2000s, right? Like, I think the first website I ever made was on GeoCities, which is a Yahoo GeoCities back in the day. And I had a yeah, so anyone who can like understand the reference would be like, I remember those days. Azmil, I remember your website. Let's just text
Yeah, man.
bro. I remember your website. I have your. Wait, give me a sec.
I think it's still somewhere there. Yeah, man. It was all the.
Was it just a ream of text?
For the camera.
No, there
for
was
the
like a
camera,
photo,
right?
but the rest was text.
Dude, the photocopy album.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm a fan, man.
Oh, God.
2001, man.
Just-
2001.
just don't up and blank
20
tips.
years.
Just done up in blank tips.
There you go.
See? Yeah,
60
see this?
minute, 60
You know
minute
this-
take, I had to fill it up.
Yeah, 2001 January. I bought this from Azmil, right? At Paul's place, old Paul's place, probably the old Paul's place.
Hey, shit, I haven't
That
done
was-
a throwback post on that, man. Should.
You know, to be honest, I think this one, right? That was
20 years.
probably the first time I saw you, and it's just like I heard about this guy named Azmil, you know, and then I actually bought a cassette. Yeah, so there you go. But anyway, like that shows that's how long ago it was, right? Because I have the cassette of that. Anyway, so I had GeoCities, and it was actually a website I made for my first duo is with Hardesh Singh, and it's like a Dalcia duo. It's a guitar duo. It's a little bit like Acoustic Alchemy, but like much more poppier. And well, not to say popular, it's like Hardesh wrote some like weird chord progressions that at that time I didn't know what the chords. I mean, I knew what I was playing, but I think now I could probably play it better. So I made this website, Dalcia Duo on GeoCities, and so I was the one updating it. I would blog on it. I would post up photos from the gigs and things like that. And I remember making that, and then later on I got a blogspot website called guitarharmony.blogspot.com, which was just me posting like guitar lessons, like short guitar lessons and music notation, tablature, and things like that. And then I made a few of those kind of websites at the beginning of like the early 2000s, right? And WordPress was ridiculously difficult. It was not logical. WordPress is so difficult. I mean, Blogspot was so easy. GeoCities is basically kind of like, what you see is what you get, So, and it's like, not to say it looked good, but at least I know if I drag this here, I can have text. If I drag this here, I can have a picture. If I highlight the text, I can get a hyperlink to another page or something like that.
Yep.
So, yeah, so those were the early part. And this was the era of like forums. There was a forum last time, Jam Tank.
Jam
Tank. And that was basically this was pre-Friendster, pre-Facebook and all that, right? And I would post stuff, and that was the music community. That's where I met people like Kevin Tay, Kevin Broken Scar, and like basically everyone in the indie scene, bands like Flatline, bands like Kaimano, and all these bands that were gigging kind of in the indie scene in Kuala Lumpur, especially. Everyone had like a page, or like they would post stuff there, and
What was the forums
eventually
like back then?
it can get crazy and stuff, man. Like there will be like people different avatars, like playing
arguing with each other. It was really fun actually, because like you had all these like obviously everyone had a gig announcement, and then they'll be arguing about standard things that people argue until today, like probably I don't remember, but probably like analog versus digital, which multi effects to get, or which studio you should use, this band sucks, this band's good, that kind of stuff. But it was I think it was quite close knit, because I think I remember when we met, whenever anyone from there, one of our friends, Elda Tan, he's a bass player, he used to play with a lot of people. Elda, he was one of the moderators. Kevin Broken Scar was one of the moderators. Now Jam Tank still exists, but they pretty much on Facebook. People just buy and sell gear now. But back then it was a community. It was
like Laoyat lah. If you're wondering what it looks like, you go Laoyat now.
Laoyat.net. Yeah, it was pretty much like Laoyat.net.
Kids today will never, ever know the horror and the brilliance of music forums. We had one in Northern Ireland called Fast Feud, and it was oh my god, it was just a nest, but it was brilliant. Like, it was like sometimes could be comedy gold. Like, you're just sitting laughing for a solid 8 hours. You spent 8 hours on it laughing at wars breaking out. Like, just guys.
You follow up, man. You follow next morning.
Guys going mental about nothing, absolute nothingness. But it was brilliant. Like, it was absolutely. It was social media before there was social media.
It was social media.
Yeah.
It is social media.
I mean, it's damn nostalgic, because like I remember Clue.
Oh, I remember Clue. I have some old issues of Clue somewhere.
So Clue had his website. Yeah, remember? Yeah. Clue had a website, and the article be up, but the best part to read is the comment section.
Yeah, the comment section are always the best.
There you go.
Dragon magazine. And like, you know, this
Us just has everything just beside him. You can just pick it up.
guitar and bass.
Yeah, he's
because-
in the database, man. He's in the real database.
Check out this. Like it's like Josie Thomas on the
Josie
cover of
Thomas.
Guitar and Bass back in the day. Back in the day.
Is this a Malaysian magazine?
Yeah, it's a Malaysian magazine, and it was like gear. It was awesome. I mean, they had like gear review in Malay, and they had like, I mean, they had lessons like slap bass lessons, and you know, and like check this out, an article about exotic guitar woods. Can you just imagine? You could go to like and actually buy something for like 6 ringgit.
Hey, I'll keep this, man. This is pure gold, man. We gotta open
Yeah,
one next time.
This is just like amazing, lah. Yeah, I mean, I was. Yeah. Anyway, see, I'm bringing up cassettes and stuff. So I mean, all this actually is really important because this all predates the labeling of calling someone a content creator, right? But that's what we were doing. I mean, we were all creating content. It's basically what now you would call user-generated content, right? Someone just set up the forum, and everyone would just like post all these things, and people would have their individual websites. I remember, like, you know, so we would all get to know each other, and that was like kind of the hub. And then when we went to like all these different venues, like, what's the one? Blue Planet. Blue Planet was one of the places.
Blue Planet. Yeah,
or like Azmin, where was the one? The one dekat macam Bukit Bintang, they would have indie gigs dekat. It's not Zouk. It's like one of those clubs. They would have like, I don't know, one night a week or something. They would have like actual bands there. I forgot the name of the place.
Mana satu? I know. Oh man.
I don't remember lah. Anyway, but the point, okay, leading back to the content creation thing, right? So I did all that in the early 2000s. This is all before I went to Berkeley, and then when I went to Berkeley, right, like one of the things that I wanted to do was I really wanted to start building kind of like my teaching materials. So one of the things I did was I started really writing anything that I think would benefit people. I would write down all these notes. So I remember like I had like about this much, like I don't know, like a thick set of notes of things I could teach people on guitar. So I was just like, okay, I can teach this. I would just like type it out and I would print it. So I would have a document of all these possible topics for workshops. So you can see I was quite obsessed about this very early on.
Yeah, see,
and
was teaching always sort of a goal for you? Because you see,
I would say, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think I've struggled, like not to say struggle. Okay, you know how you have some people, you know, you look at them and like, oh yeah, they're you know, a gifted musician or a gifted guitarist or a gifted artist or something. I always felt that growing up, I wasn't a gifted guitar player. Guitar was very, very difficult. It came very, very difficult to me. You know, it was one of the hardest things for me to learn. But one of the things that I think I had a knack was breaking things apart and putting them back together. Basically, like I'm pretty good at catching structures of things. So I would I'm pretty fast at learning certain things. If I enjoy something, I can learn. It takes me a long time to learn it, but once I figure it out, I usually am pretty good at teaching it.
yeah.
So like it would be something that I enjoy so much because it's just like, okay, this took me a year, right? Let me see if I can teach you this in like 2 lessons or something. I mean, the gist of it.
Yeah.
And so that was something that I've always had. If I had, you know, kind of a natural so-called talent, I would say that teaching was my strength, learning and teaching. And so it's always been a part of, that is what enabled me to do music. Because I would look at something and I was just like, I don't understand this, I want to understand it. That kind of curiosity.
Yeah.
And yeah, so anyway, at Berkeley, I was writing out all these notes and I kept blogging and doing all these things. And then coming back to Malaysia, okay, in Berkeley was when I joined Facebook. Because what happened was, in 2005, when I arrived in Boston, right? So I met one of my classmates. I don't remember the guy's name now, but we were in the same ensemble. Like it was just a generic ensemble called like small band ensemble or something, jazz. Literally small band ensemble in parentheses jazz. And he said, you know, if you know, you want to know people, you have to add them on the Facebook. And this was when Facebook was a closed network.
Yeah,
do Facebook.
yeah, it was a closed network.
You had to be invited to get on Facebook back then.
Yeah. It was 2005, right? The only way you could get on Facebook.
You couldn't create a page. You had to be invited to.
You had to be you have to be in one of the schools, one of the colleges in New England. So you either like MIT or Harvard, and Berkeley was in Boston. So Berkeley. It was still a closed network, so meaning that you had to be in one of these institutions. So I was in Berkeley, so I joined Facebook in 2005 before Malaysia had access to it. So I was just like, my friend just said this. He said, you see someone, you just ask them, are you on Facebook? And then you go to their Facebook, you read up about them, then you ask them to be your friend. And this was basically, and at that point, before that, I was on Friendster. In Malaysia, we had Friendster, and that's how I got to know people. This is 2002, 2003 or so, or until 2004. And there was still an overlap, like 2004, 2005, I was still on Friendster, and it was still a thing. MySpace was still a thing.
Yeah.
And you had Facebook, and Facebook was still like something that was just a New England thing, like a Boston thing happening. And so, point of all that was social media was just starting to be a thing. I had a YouTube account in 2005. And that was the year that Google just bought. I think Google bought YouTube probably like March 2005. I mean, very recent. So it was around for a year before Google owned YouTube. And so I also had a YouTube account very early on. Before that, you actually have to upload like QuickTime files, or you had to. The early period was Real Player. You had to upload Real Player files. Back in the day, Real Player. So you can see how I remember all these things, and I haven't talked about it.
Real Player, man.
Yeah. And the only time before YouTube, you had to watch, if you want to watch like movie trailers, you have to go to Apple and go to the QuickTime page, because that's the only way you can watch kind of a high-res-ish version of a trailer of whatever movie it is, or like whatever new music video.
Spend 20 minutes wait for it to fucking load, because
I remember the first time I had broadband, I was just like, I can watch Sunrise by Norah Jones in like immediately. I don't have to just like walk away, chill out for a while. I remember the patience of like, wow, this video is like 200 megabytes. I guess I just leave my computer on for a few hours then, It's insane.
That's nothing like trying to download a porn picture in 1994 on fucking dial-up. 20 minutes.
Even like,
nothing will test human patience.
VHS tape to get some porn, man.
Nothing tests human patience like that. Sorry for debasing
No,
your podcast.
it's fine. I still remember when I was before I went to Berkeley, when I was in ICOM, right? I thought like, hey, an MP3 file is not very big. I can email someone this. Then I realized that, wait a sec, I cannot email something beyond like 3 megabytes or 5 megabytes or something. I was just like, this is ridiculous. I was just like, this is such a small file. It's not even like a WAV file. It's like
you probably didn't even have that in RAM. Never mind the fucking size of the file.
Nowadays, even your high-res photo is more than 3 MB, man.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I still remember that, because I was just like, wait a sec, you mean we have these Apple computers at ICOM, and it was like, it's the early period. What's the one, the round one? Is like an iMac.
The one got different color one.
It was the original.
It was IMAX, right?
Yeah, it was IMAX.
So,
original IMAX.
Yeah, so they had the IMAX, right? And I was just like, what do you mean I can't email like a song? I was just so confused at that point. And with all this, so you can see I've always been fascinated with kind of like technology and just the development of media in general, not even just content creation, but just like media in general. And then when social media started becoming much bigger, with like Facebook and stuff, I basically kind of joined everything that as they came about. I think Twitter I was the slowest on Twitter. Like Twitter, I only joined probably like I forgot what year. It was probably 2009 or something. And there's another story about how I met Ziavi was via Twitter. But that's another story. We won't get into that. But the point is that I was doing all these kind of content on social, and before they just called it social, right? It's just like at that point it was like social media platforms, And I was also writing all my teaching materials and creating websites. And in fact, one point, probably the biggest accidental success I had was I had a website called A Chord a Day, which I did for less than a year, but it was featured on some American newspaper because it was just like, one like a music website they recommend or something. And I forgot where. I don't know whether it was in Oregon or in Seattle or something. They picked it up as a thing. And so I did all these different things. And one of my, I realized that because like if you're a musician, right, whether you want to or not, whether you admit it or not, you have to be somewhat of a content creator and a kind of a dabbler in different things, because you kind of have to make your own posters, whether you want to or not. You have to make your own posters.
I think
you kind of have to write the description of the gig, because you can't hire your friends. I mean, you don't have any money to hire people in the beginning.
I think it's just musicians' reversion to the name content creating. In my head, I've got Bill Hicks in my head going, anybody in the advertising should kill themselves. Thinking, that always is in my head from day one. Like, so I've always got Bill in the back of my head going, kill yourself if you're in advertising. Like, so like the word content creating was obviously invented by the advertising industry.
Yeah, but I think
artist journeys go, oh, fuck that.
Yeah. No, but because over here we got shit, man. Nobody's gonna do anything for you in Malaysia, man. You come from the West, I think.
No one's going to do anything for anybody.
Right?
Like, it's the same.
Actually, it's anywhere.
You
never
have to
had
do it
any
yourself.
model. We never had any model or anything.
You have to create your own scene if you want it.
Yeah,
right, guys. We've
exactly.
come up to the end of the
That's true.
first segment. So second segment, I'd like to continue this conversation with content creating, and eventually get into your musical journey. If you're okay with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll take a 10-minute break and we'll get back into it. Okay, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
And we're back with part 2 of the ASMAD podcast. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for staying with us.
Pleasure. Complete pleasure.
Content creating, that word, goddamn word that we're talking about in the first time. So, you're currently teaching, you've currently started a course teaching content creation to creatives. Is that, or is it to anyone? Or is it roughly more to creatives?
It's kind of more open to to creatives, I guess, or anyone actually. I actually have a marketer, an online marketer, join my course and join both my courses.
Does his boss know he's doing this? Because I'll be sucking.
He's the boss. He's the boss. He's the boss. He joined my course. He actually, I mean, he gave me a testimonial. He gave me a nice video testimonial. He enjoyed the course. I mean, because he was more. I mean, his background is more like running like Facebook ads, basically running paid ads. So he didn't do so much organic content, and now he's totally on it. After he took my session, he's just like posting a lot, which is that was the whole idea of the course was cara cipta content cepat, which just means like how can you create content really quickly. Because that's usually what stops people. Is like, what's the idea? How frequently do I post? How do I do a post that
here's a question as you might be able to answer. Mm-hmm. Where does the content stop and the spamming start, in your opinion?
If it's boring and it's not something that you want to watch.
But isn't that just pure subjective to the viewer?
It's completely subjective. Completely subjective. I mean, think about this. If someone came to me and wanted to talk about jazz guitar chords, and this person was knowledgeable, I want to watch every single video this guy has.
Okay.
Or this lady has. Or like, if I was into like audio engineering or like mixing or something, if a really experienced mix engineer who's been mixing for 30, 40 years wants to post a new video every single day, I'm going to binge on that. I'm going to watch that every single. But if someone runs a Facebook ad and I look at him, I'm just like, I don't think you know anything about this topic. That's kind of spammy, especially if it's really bad ad targeting. If they're targeting someone who knows more than the person that, if it's badly targeted, then, it's spamming. And I think that's the thing though, how the people always say like, because of social media, because of TikTok, people don't consume long form anymore. It's a complete lie if you think about it, because people just binge watch, Loki or like, anything from the Marvel thing. People will binge watch WandaVision on Netflix. people will watch like the extended version of Justice League for 4 hours, and so long form
It has
content.
to be the right. It has to be the right form of long form.
Yeah,
Selective lah.
I mean
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, right? Joe Rogan podcast or like any of those things, right? And so the idea is, I think the thing is, if something is engaging, if it's something that you're interested in, you probably want to consume as much of that as possible.
Absolutely.
If it's as of interest to you. It's only spammy if someone tells me join my MLM, you know, and they go on my Facebook and they post it on my timeline, or they send me a message unsolicited. Then that's spam, because I don't want to hear about your MLM. I'm not interested in your business opportunity, nor do I want to sell and like, you know, I don't know, like the soap.
But even sharing something anything can be almost MLM-ish, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
problem.
Well,
would you say original content is? Would you then? That's the question I was about to ask that Asmil sort of treading on. Would you say that sharing your original content is spamming? If you just start firing it out?
I think it's like this. Okay, I'll tell you, when I started making my content, no one knows me, right? So I have to share, for example, a very practical example. If you started a Facebook page and you want people to, you know, check out your videos on your Facebook page, no one will find you because you just like, no one knows you yet. If like if you're not connected, the first thing that a normal person will do is just, I should tell at least my girlfriend, my friends, my brother, at least people that I know on my personal page, hey guys, I started a Facebook page, if you'd be so kind to like the page. That's very typical, and family members unwillingly like, oh, I guess I have to support this guy because he's my brother-in-law, I have to like, then they like, and then they quickly just like not follow notifications, so they'll just like the page, but they won't see anything you post if they're smart about it. So it's not really useful, but it's necessary in the beginning to just get, some people to check out the page. And then the second stage is you realize that you have exhausted all their family and friends. Then you realize that I guess I should post it on every single group on Facebook that's in this topic. In fact, I just saw someone, I won't say what they do or what niche, they posted, I think, on like 40 groups that are related. And suddenly now, when I check out, I suddenly realized that there's a lot of groups on this topic because I don't post on any of them. I don't post on any of those groups. But that's one of the things that you do out of like sheer necessity. No one knows me. I should post on all these related groups on Facebook to find out. And that can be spammy if, let's say, I was on 40 groups and I saw you posting it 40 times. I'd be like, I don't want to see your posts anymore. I saw it on the other group about 1 minute ago and I see it again here. So that can be potentially spammy. And what I discovered and over a long period of time was I just became very selective of where I would share my content. So I would post a video on my Facebook page and I would share it on 1 or 2 Facebook groups. And I wouldn't share it immediately. I would share it on this group, maybe an hour later or the next day on another group. And eventually, when I had enough people who liked my page, I don't even share it on groups anymore, my video. When I do a Facebook Live, people who follow me share it on various groups, including Beli Bundle, Baju Bundle Johor or something. Like, and I was just like, I don't even know these groups, like, Kumpulan Beli Keris Kedah or something. I was just like, I didn't know there was a buying and selling like Keris group. I didn't know that was a thing, or so what happened was eventually, once you get a reasonable following, people will share it on their groups or on their social media profile. But that takes time, to get the right kind of people who would want to share that. Or I mean, you can ask people to share it, but that is much better than if I shared it in 40 groups every single day. So imagine if I made a Facebook video and every day I shared it on 40 groups. Now that's spamming. That's spamming. But if I made a video about, for example, a fingerstyle guitar lesson, and I shared it on the Malaysian fingerstyle guitarist group or something, and if I did, an analysis of, the strumming style and chords of Elliott Smith, and I shared it on a songwriting group. Hey guys, I just did a video breaking down, Elliott Smith's, strumming style on, 2 songs from XO or something. So that would be relevant to that group. Or if I did, let's say this podcast, right? Let's say you post this on Facebook, the link from YouTube, you post it on Facebook, and you post it on, I don't know, something relevant. I guess if I was talking about content creation, then if one of you guys was in a content creator group, probably not Derek, but someone else posted it on a content creator group. Hey guys, we got this guy Asamat who is a content creator, and he's talking about his content creation journey. Now, something very specific like that on a really targeted group with a personalized post is not spamming because it's contextual to your posting. Yeah. The problem is when you say, hey guys, new video, check it out, like it please. Like, subscribe, follow.
Exactly.
And,
like, follow.
And you do that. Like, follow. Yeah. And you do it on like 40 groups, and it's like there's no context, and you never post anything on that group except when you want to get people to watch your video. So that is spamming.
Yeah.
And some people still do that. Or like, when you, okay, I'll tell you what is spamming. When someone messages me for the very first time, bro, I entered this band competition, please vote for my band. That's spamming. That's a Malaysian.
Oh, that's so Malaysian. That's so Malaysian.
Yeah, it's like, bro, support, bro. We can vote once a day. Please please support me to this competition. And
which foundation?
that is spamming, because like you never message me ever. You don't personalize the message, and the first thing you ask from me is to vote for your band that I don't even like your page or something. If I've been following your band and I buy your CD, or I like you on Spotify, then a personalized message, hey Az, I know, thanks for all your support, or the past few months.
Exactly.
We have a single that actually got into this competition. If you like the song, we really appreciate a vote. If not, sorry to bother you. So that's a polite message. That's not spamming. That's personalized.
Yeah.
But people don't do that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people who do that are people who get votes.
Exactly.
Correct. Because
Yeah.
I did both. Because when I first started, everything you just said just now, I did. I did hardcore spamming. I messaged people to like and all that.
Dead.
But you're right.
Dead.
As you keep doing it, you create your own audience, and they eventually just look
They do
out
it for you.
Correct.
They do it for you.
And now it has come to a point where if I suddenly message somebody after so long, they have not been getting, they would actually, hey, I haven't been getting your messages. Are you not putting out anything? Whoa. Then I'll be like, yeah, great. Thank you. And I think I told Derek and all about this, but that personalized touch to your message, it might seem ridiculous to message 1,400 people, but you'll be surprised if you spend the time to get personal and connect with these people the same way you want them to connect with your product. It's intention it's intention at the end of the day also,
It's real. I mean, it's real. It's human connection, right? I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to get a message, hello friend, who's like, who are you?
Exactly, yeah.
I'm not your friend. And definitely my name is not friend.
Yeah. Or like, and my is all baru nak vote, baru message me. Fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, Azmel, you would know how many times we've had band competitions, right? Online voting, right? That's the only time.
I've never seen a country that loves band competitions like Malaysia. I used to think Ireland was bad for band competitions until I moved here.
Oh, man.
You guys love a good band competition. What will we do today, guys? We'll have a band competition. It'll be great, guys.
Voting even happens live at the venue. Oh my God, that's how much voting happens in our
band
country.
No, you need to get the votes to get into a certain stage of the fucking competition first.
That also.
Yeah. That too.
Oh,
sometimes I just reply to these people. Have you registered to vote? I mean, like general election. If you want my vote, go register now. Show me your.
Has any band ever done anything good from winning a band competition? Honestly, can anybody name it?
I think the only thing that a lot of the bands that are like very proactive, if you're proactively trying to win a competition like that, they're usually leveraging it in order to get corporate shows to say that they won. I mean that's I mean in the end, right? Winning a competition like that is basically a single line in your in your profile, band profile, when you want to ask for sponsorships or endorsements or like collaborations with brands. That's what it is. I mean that's the reality.
In Ireland, it was just because the prize was usually like 2 days in a really nice recording studio. So it was just to get
No,
that.
that's so good. That's
It
so
wasn't.
good.
Yeah, we don't get that, man.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't because most like all and any band competition in Ireland is generally all original bands. So you're not thinking about playing corporate gigs in there because no original band gets a corporate gig in Ireland ever. It doesn't happen. Like so you
Yeah, it's a
think.
different scene.
Yeah, so you think, oh, we can get in the studio, this really nice studio for 2 days with a really good engineer who knows what he's doing. Like, so, like, yeah, let's enter. But that's when you're 18. I come here to Malaysia. There's fucking 40-year-olds in band competitions. Go, what the fuck's going on?
You guys got YouTube, man. We got shit all here, man.
You've got some amazing engineers here and some really good studios. You should.
Yeah.
But it's still the style, man, that matters, man. There's no YouTube equivalent, man. But yeah, but it's so true. Very different, but interesting.
I don't know if you should be using U2 as a reference for Irish bands. Like I might get.
For Malaysians, the reference is YouTube lah. Come on, I mean, you know more because you're from Ireland. People here don't know shit, man.
We've spent the last 40 years trying to deny Bono's even one of us. Like,
That's right.
Bono was born in London, so they can keep him. Like as far as we're concerned, like
That's right. That's right. So true. Interesting.
Paul.
But so interesting
Keep
lah
Paul.
to see. Keep on. Oh man.
But
Competition.
how do we get lost on the band competitions?
No, we're just talking about like when we were talking about
We're talking
spamming
about spamming.
content
Yeah.
and when it becomes spamming, and it's completely contextual. It's just completely based on context.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that another thing. This is like I'm giving real world advice. It's like when people used to email, and they would not blind copy. This is before they would get like MailChimp or an email service provider. Before they got an ESP, right? They would email from their Hotmail or Gmail, and they wouldn't do a blind copy. So you would get everyone in the indie scene. Everyone's email would be like in the email.
Oh yeah,
This is,
man. Yeah.
And then some people
Mailing
will
list.
reply to everyone. Reply to everyone. It's just like this is early
I-
2000s.
I literally think I just did that yesterday.
Oh,
That's good. Wow, that's kind of
okay.
I literally because I
Just
sent
reply
because-
all.
I just sent an invite for because the first birthday party for the podcast is coming up.
coming up.
on
Yeah.
2
Oh
weeks.
wow.
Oh,
And
so
I-
you didn't
and
blind
the
copy,
reason
yeah?
a reason Oz wasn't in the invite because you hadn't been on the podcast yet, so I thought I'll
Yeah,
leave
yeah,
it
yeah.
till the next week and then I'll give you a proper invite. But like I just sent an invite to anybody who was on the podcast and put them all in the email and then just send because that's the only way I know how to do it.
mailing list. I remember the time as Mind Geek, you had a clapperboard and
Oh, I mean, for the longest time.
Yeah.
Asmail, do you still send out emails at all?
Oh man, I stopped that. I wish I continued. I got lazy.
I
Yeah.
this past 2 years lah, I just started. I mean, I had my old email list. I mean, I haven't emailed them, so it's like, I haven't emailed them in a long time. But I made a new email list, which is like the one I send every day lah. That one they get email from me every day.
Okay.
And-
you be consistent. I think that's good.
But does each person get it's kind of like an individual email where it's just directed to that one person and you don't see everybody
It's
else's?
you can use it's the same email, and I don't like, it's not like hello Derek or hello Asmail or anything.
Alright.
I don't because there was a time when email, like when you would do emails like that, they would personalize and put your name, and it would be where some people were like, oh my god, he's emailing to me only. No, it's emailing to 1,000 people. But the thing is, right, the thing is, when people reply my emails, I'm replying to them. So I do spend a lot of time replying individual emails. I mean, it depends on which email it is. Sometimes I do ask people to reply, and I do reply sometimes quite in length. And those are like when you reply one-on-one with someone asks you like, I want to learn music theory, but I don't know what to start. Then if I send them a YouTube playlist I made of music theory videos of that I've done before, that can be helpful, and that's not spam because that's like someone wanting that information.
Exactly.
Yeah. The follow-up's
So
important lah. The initial is
the follow-up's
the broad,
everything.
yeah.
The follow-up's
Yeah.
everything. I mean, anyone can just send an email out, but
Yeah.
whether you follow up and when people ask question, you know, hey, this new course looks really cool, but you know, is it too basic or is it too advanced for me? And I'll say, you know, okay, how long you been playing, what you do, you know, have you studied this? Do you understand this thing? And they say, I don't understand this thing. And I say, you shouldn't buy it. I mean, I actually spend quite a lot of my time actually telling people, don't buy my course. Because sometimes it's just not the right course for them, you know, because it's better that I rather someone get what is appropriate for what they want to do rather than get something that would just frustrate them because it's too difficult or too
Yeah.
easy, you know. Yeah.
Or Derek, Bill Hicks will call that reverse marketing.
Yeah.
Well,
No, but that's
it's true though.
important. I think that's an
Because
important
it's
point,
it's
yeah.
quite honest, you know. It's that, like, you know, if I
Very
tell
honest.
them like, hey, you have this, you know, by the way, this new course, you know, if you really know a lot about this, you know, you shouldn't get it, because it's
Yeah.
just like, I mean, just being honest. I mean, I have people, who, like some people, they've been playing. I usually ask people, you know, how long they've been playing. So if they've been playing, they haven't played guitar, then I have a course called Langkah Gitar Girang 1, 2, and 3, which is kind of basic open chords, how to strum, how to hold a pick. The second one's just about power chords. The third one's all about bar chords, and it's all in Malay. And so if they've been playing for a while, I said, you know, you probably shouldn't get this, because you should probably get another one of my courses that's more advanced, because you probably be bored. But then I have some people who, you know, they say, oh, okay, I'll start with number 2, because I don't really know all my power chords, for example. And then what happens is they say, you know, I'm not sure whether I'm playing guitar correctly. You know, let me get the part 1. And I'm not selling them part 1. I said, I'm saying that this is a very beginner thing, but sometimes, you know, a lot of guitar players just play with really bad technique for years and years, because you don't know you've been playing wrong until someone corrects you, or you know, you have a good teacher, or you have a friend that actually knows a little bit more, or if you hurt yourself. I mean, I had tendonitis here when I was in Boston, right? I had scar tissue right here, and it was like kind of like a lump here,
Yeah.
and if I moved a little bit, it was so painful, and I couldn't play for, I don't know, about 3-4 months. I couldn't take my exams in Boston, in Berkeley for that semester. I could play keyboard still, so I could take my keyboard exam, but I couldn't take my guitar exams, and I had to take the exams the following semester. And I had,
man.
yeah. So I mean, when you have a playing injury, it really makes you examine, you know, what am I doing wrong? Is it posture? Is it technique? Is it, you know, is it the instrument? Is the instrument too difficult to press, or is the way I'm holding a pick wrong? You know. And actually, that was, having tendonitis was actually very beneficial in terms of my long-term development, because it made me really examine how I play, and posture and breathing, and like how I stand, how I sit down. I mean, I still have pretty bad posture lah, but at least the thing is, like, it made me think about it, and it made me realize, when I see a student play at an open mic, and I you know, or if I see other people play at an open mic, I will tell my student, you see how he's playing? If he keeps playing, he's probably gonna have a playing injury in about 3 to 5 years. But if he plays, you know, for fun, he's not gonna injure himself, because he doesn't play enough to hurt himself. But if he plays like that all the time, he's gonna hurt himself.
I don't know.
And I
why.
can see,
Django
I can
Reinhardt,
spot that.
Django Reinhardt would just be laughing at all of these, like.
but Django didn't hurt himself. He played with
I
perfect
know,
technique.
that's why it's a
Yeah.
joke, like, because he burnt all his fingers off, but 2,
mean,
and then he's a bit like going like, what?
Yeah,
It's not about looking cool. It's not about looking cool.
I mean,
Everybody look cool.
yeah. I mean, Django had. I mean, he hurt this part. I mean, he damaged this from the fire, and
the
I mean the
fire,
caravan
yeah.
fire. He was trying to save people. He could still play with his 2 fingers, and then he could actually still play chords with this, like kind of together.
Bar chords?
So he still. No, yeah, kind of bar chords. He used this finger. If you see a few of the rare footage, right? People always say Django played with 2 fingers. He still had access to this, not for single note lines, but for some chords, he could still use it. But you know, lines, yeah, just 2 fingers. And the interesting thing is the limitation that Django had made him finger things in a different way that a whole generation of like all the gypsy jazz players
Yeah.
had to learn solos with 2 fingers.
Yeah,
Because
that's true.
otherwise, if you use conventional fingering, you wouldn't play. You cannot actually. Sometimes you can't play as fast as him, because he devised really logical fingerings that cross the fretboard. You know.
True.
So Yeah,
Like
and
Jerry
there-
Garcia. Jerry Garcia didn't have
Yeah,
his
Jerry
middle
Gar-
finger.
yes. There's all these people.
He
There's
couldn't
there's
do
a,
fuck you 2 fingers.
yeah, it's hilarious. And there's another guy, Andres Godoy. He's a one-handed guitarist. He's a one-handed guitarist. He can only tap with his left hand. He literally does not have a right hand. So
Jesus.
he's like
right
he,
on,
he's a one-handed guitarist. And I just saw another guy.
Well, Tony
Yes.
Iommi from Black Sabbath has got the tips of his
Yeah.
Tips of
fingers
finger
here.
gone.
They're
Same
gone.
thing.
They're,
Yeah, they're gone.
here. So he had to get someone to invent these wee pads for him that he put
Yeah.
on top of the tips.
Yeah, I
So
mean, Def
all
Leppard
those-
drummer had one arm, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time yeah, every time someone comes to me, because I get questions like that, because I get people who are like, who say, hey man, I'm 48, can I still learn guitar? Or hey, I had, can I play guitar with just 3 fingers? Or hey, or like something like, some legit questions, because like, sometimes people have injuries, like finger
Yeah.
injuries. Like they lost a finger or they hurt their finger, they don't have much mobility. I think the only thing that will kind of stop someone from playing guitar is if you have a kind of a neural condition or something. If you have like
Rheumatoid
what's the one,
arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis.
yeah, if you have really bad arthritis, right?
Yeah.
Then that will probably stop you. But otherwise, if you only have one hand, you probably can still play guitar. Actually, there's a guy on YouTube. Actually, he's not. I mean, he passed away, but he played guitar with his legs, his foot. He doesn't
I
have.
saw that.
Yeah, there's a
The
few of
thing
them.
was- yeah, man. And he was
Really
busking
good.
also for a while.
Yeah, he was busking. There's a
Damn
documentary.
fucking good lah.
This guy in Balboa Park, I think he's based in the Bay Area. I mean, he passed away now, but there was a documentary. I just saw the documentary. I was just like a little bit of it. And I was just like, this guy was just busking, and he's like playing really good stuff with really. It's amazing. I cannot imagine someone actually like playing lines with your feet, with your toes, and I was just like.
Where do you even start?
Yeah, that's true.
He's been playing like that since he was a kid because he just didn't have
Yeah.
arms apparently.
Yeah.
And there is another friend, this guy actually, he's a Malaysian. He plays guitar with both hands and his feet. So he will play he will tap I think chords or bass lines with his feet. So he'll have an electric guitar on the floor and he'll be playing the guitar on the floor and he'll be tapping like Stanley Jordan style with his hand. Sam left right, Sham left right or Sam left right, his name. He's like complete virtuoso. He
That's
he can
thinking on a
he can
different level. Like so, that's
Yeah, man.
where do you
So-
start with that sort of thinking?
yeah. So when you look at people like that, I've
Yes.
seen really great players from people who don't have hands to people who
Yes.
use every single, everything. They use
Exactly. No,
everything.
I think that's a great point. It's people think like you got all your faculties, but you feel like I can't do this. No, you can.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's I think except for arthritis or severe tendonitis or something,
Yeah.
except for like those kind of things, I think for the most part, I think if you're older and you're just starting guitar, if you're like 50 or 60, and I've had 50-year-old, 60-year-old students, and it's just that depending on how much you've used your hands, whether you do a lot of typing or whether you actually do a lot with your fingers, then it might be a little bit tricky to get kind of the coordination. But it is really possible. I mean, a lot of it just takes time. It's a lot of patience and practicing the right way. So yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy teaching people who are really into it, even if they're having a hard time. If you want to learn something, you can learn it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come up.
Yeah,
we'll come up to part 2. So, you want to go for part 3, Yaz? You okay for
Yeah,
that?
sure. I'm having fun.
Okay, cool. So part 3,
Cool.
we'll go into your musical journey because I think we need.
Sounds good.
we need to touch into
Yeah,
that.
man.
And so another 10-minute break, and we'll go back and for part 3.
So this is gonna be another link, right?
Yeah. Just bear with me. Okay. See you in about. And we're back with part 3 of the Asamad podcast. Thank you once again, Az, for sticking with us, lunatics,
Yep.
on this journey.
Pleasure, man. Pleasure.
So, speaking of journeys, when did you pick up the guitar? Why did you pick up the guitar? What was it about the guitar? Or
Okay,
was it even the guitar was your first instrument?
I actually want to be honest. I actually wanted to learn how to play keyboards because I was really into hip hop. But what happened was I was like what? I was like 14 or something, and I didn't know where you could buy keyboards, right? So we went to I think Ampampa. This one Azmi will be like Ampampa, Ampampa.
Yeah.
Went to Ampampa at the site where I guess where Maybank or that bank side. Then there was a
Yes.
the corner lot had like an electronic shop, and back in the day, 1994, they had keyboards. I mean, they had like Casio keyboards and like all these. Basically, they're just like entry level Porter Studio, whatever, basic like Porter keyboard things, right? And at that time, I had no idea, but I was just like, "You mean it's a few hundred ringgit for this? A few thousand ringgit?" I was like, "This is so expensive. I cannot get it." I felt. I mean, my parents. I mean, they bought me stuff, but I really felt like a bit guilty to ask for it because I don't know how long I was gonna even do it. I just thought that I think I heard that KRU, right? They did their whole album. They have a keyboard, so I thought if KRU has a keyboard, they can make like Changi, right? They can make all
Changi.
like Changi, Hanyakau. It's like, oh, they had a keyboard. If I had a keyboard, I can do all these things. So, but I was just like, oh, this is too expensive. It wouldn't make sense. So I didn't end up having that. And then around when I was in Form 4, I was on a call. I was talking to this girl on the phone, and then I asked her, what do you listen to? What music do you listen to? And she said she listened to this band called Nirvana. And I was just like, okay, I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes. So I took notes, and then I got the Unplugged in New York album. So it wasn't. I didn't get Nevermind first. I got Unplugged in New York, and I listened to it. It says guitar, and I was just like, this is so different than R&B and hip hop, because if you listen to like 90s hip hop, the production, 90s R&B, 90s hip hop, we're talking like Brandy, we're talking like Snoop Dogg, we're talking like Warren G, is really produced. Everything is really beautiful sounding. And then you listen to Nirvana, everything's like rough, and it's just like, this edginess. I was just like, why is the sound like this? Then when I listened to Nevermind, it's like, why is the sound like this? It sounds like very rough. But I was just kind of enamored with that kind of sound. And what happened was, I had a friend. His name's Shari, and he's the natural talent. He could play all these songs. I was just like, how do you play all these songs? And he's just like kind of like had a knack for it. And eventually, I wanted to buy a guitar, and my grandma gave me 80 ringgit because I found out that 80 ringgit you can go to Spectrum Shopping Mall in Ampang and buy 80 ringgit from the department. 80 ringgit blue sunburst kapok, plywood guitar. At the departmental store.
You still got it, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Huh?
You still got this guitar, don't you?
I still have the guitar. It's in the room. It can't play it anymore, but I still have it. It has a Beavis and Butthead sticker on it, and it has a
Kapok, man. Yeah.
Kapok. It's like
So
100% plywood.
the important
No
question,
resonance.
the important question is, which was the first Nirvana song you learned to play on that guitar?
I was trying to play About a Girl, but I think the only one I think I played really badly Come As You Are, and then I played their version of Man Who Sold the World,
Okay.
which is not a Nirvana song, but I mean everyone thinks of it as a Nirvana song because it was on the album. Yeah.
David Bowie.
Bowie, man.
It's a Bowie. It's a Bowie song, but
But the solo is very empowering, lah. Yeah, I can do a solo too. Yeah, I made a solo.
It's just like it's actually playable. You
Yes.
can use one finger and you can two fingers. You can still do it.
I
kind
think
of badly.
that was the thing about Nirvana. Like for me, it was Polly. Like I learned to play guitar. I learned
Polly, such a good song.
The first song I learned to play was Polly. So ever on guitar was Paul. Total was Polly. Like so.
It's such a good song.
So many people that I know from our generation learned Nirvana and then learned on.
Yeah, the amount
on
of
our
people
song.
who came on this podcast and said the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh my
Poly.
God! I saw
Especially-
okay, this is
Poly.
ours is number 5 already. I think.
Especially
Nirvana.
anybody of me as and Asmel's age group who came up during
Yeah.
the
Yeah, because you
90s.
see, before Nirvana, like guitar was like your
Guitar
your
was an alien
shredders from the
concept.
80s.
Yeah, we grew up with.
Yeah.
I grew up. I'm 45, so I grew up in the 80s with literal shredders. It was like
Exactly.
you would get
I'll never do that.
you would buy a metal a rock or metal compilation video, and it would have like Faith
Yes.
Moore on it, who had Big Jim Martin. You had Bon Jovi, who had Richie Sambora. You had Slash on it, and then at least a couple of the videos you it would be Satriani or Malmsteen or Stevie Vai on it. You were like going like, you can't learn to play guitar. It's impossible. Look at these lunatics. Like,
Yeah, honestly, when I start off, I want to play bass because the bassist looks like he's just like, dang. No, that looks easy. Yeah.
but like,
Oh, man.
If you
Never
if,
guitar, yeah,
if you're
never
in the rock
guitar.
music, if you're in the rock music and you came up in the 80s, it was a completely alien. And and if you came especially from like a kind of working class Irish background, like I did, trying to be a musician was in the genre that you wanted to be in was just fantasy world. And then once Nirvana hit, you were like going, oh, we can do
Yeah,
this.
I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that's the
Yeah.
beauty of that kind of that era.
It
It's
was
just
our
like,
punk.
I
It
can
was our
play
punk
this.
rock. It was our punk
Yes.
rock. It was our punk rock. It
Yeah.
was for the people for the kids who were stuck with prog in the
Plus,
70s.
plus they look like one of us,
Yeah.
you know? Like the hairband guys in the 80s, they had all the big hair, and I'm like, who's going to dress up like that? Suddenly Kurt Cobain and the gang come like, hey, it looks like the guy I know by the street there, yeah, you know?
Kasubata.
Kasubata.
But it wasn't just it was
Yeah,
easy.
Kasubata.
It wasn't that the songs were easy. They were also good, and you wanted to
They're,
play.
they're
course.
really good
You wanted to
songs.
play 'em- You wanted to play them like because
They're just really- it's really well written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really good songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I
Really good.
started. I played like I was trying to learn Nirvana songs for about 3 months, and because I jump around like different. I mean, you're a teenager, right? You just like do different things, right? So my dad saw that, hey, it looks like you're really into this because I haven't quit yet. I've been playing guitar for 3 months. I didn't quit yet. So he told me that if I agreed to take guitar lessons and learn how to read music, he would buy me a nicer guitar. So I was just like, okay, I'll do that. So we went to Mahogany Ampang, right opposite Ampang Point. And,
Okay, that's all. Okay.
yeah, that one. So we went there, and then it was like it smelled of guitars and air conditioning, right? Like really nice cedar and all this. I mean, that time I didn't know, but I was just like, oh, this is the smell of the place. And then my dad bought me an Estive guitar, which is a Spanish-made guitar with a cedar top. And that one was like 500 ringgit. I thought like, wow, this is such an expensive guitar. 500 ringgit, wow. I better practice. So
Yeah.
then I got the guitar, which is really ironic now because like now like I think was it a few months ago, one of my he's a former student, but he's also a friend. He sent me a guitar to test out, and the guitar was like, how I don't have the guitar right now, but I think the guitar is probably like 38 or 42,000 ringgit or something. It's like a handmade, really nice McPherson guitar. It's like I think the
Say that again.
16-year-old.
42,000 ringgit.
Yeah, 42. It's
That's a
about
car, man.
it's probably now around like 8 to 10K USD, so it's probably close to 40,000 ringgit the guitar. That's not even the most expensive guitar that I've tried. But he sent it to me. He said, he just was curious. He said, let me know why is this guitar so expensive.
So expensive.
He was just like,
Now that begs the question: what is the most expensive guitar that you've tried?
I think the one that I tried that I really like was who's the lady that makes the guitars for Pat Metheny? What's her name? I forgot her name. But there's this lady. She makes all the main guitars for Pat Metheny. Linda Manzer. So I tried a Linda Manzer guitar in Hillsburg Guitar Festival in California when I was living in California. We went to Hillsburg with my friends. It's basic. Yeah. Anyway, I just want to focus on the guitar part. I saw the guitar there. It was on the stand, and Linda Manzer, the builder, she was there. And I was just like, and I'm like really nervous because it's just like this guitar looked really expensive, and then then my friend said, just ask her. So I said, I just asked, hey Linda, do you mind? Can I try this guitar? And she's, yeah, sure, try it. It was an $18,000 guitar. 18,000.
Wow.
So that's
Wow.
like close to 80,000 ringgit. It was such a great sounding guitar. It was so well built.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean,
like 18,000. That's
it's hand. If you
That's
think
two
about it,
Malvis there, man. Yeah.
I guess the thing is this: if you met someone, basically the way I explain it to people is, if you get kind of a luthier, right, to build your guitar, you're basically hiring him or her 1 month of his life. So you're paying him a month's salary, whatever the equivalent salary is. Because like one of the luthiers that I know, Nick Benjamin, Nick builds about nine to 10 guitars a year. So you're hiring him for like a month of his life.
Okay.
So when I think Nick used to charge about 2,200 pounds, 2,200 quid, and now his starting price is about 4,200 pounds.
Wow.
So that, I mean, literally you're hiring him for a month of his life to make a guitar for
That's
you.
true.
Yeah.
That's
So if you think of it in that perspective, you
Makes
can
sense,
sort of understand. And I think I think I can rationalize guitars up to like 10,000 US dollars. And I think after 10,000 US dollars is basically reputation. It's just like, someone is very well known and they don't make that many guitars, or they have a waiting list or something like that.
yeah, I think so. But like that's 18,000 USD
It's a lot of nasi lemak.
for a
Yeah.
guitar.
I've been
lot of
afraid to
them.
play. That's
18,000
a lot of
USD
cars, dude.
for a guitar that's never been touched by someone famous is a lot of money. Like you've seen,
it is a lot of money.
You know what I mean? You've seen guitars that have been played by people that fetch that money and more.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
all know it. But 18,000 for a guitar that's never been
Just for me?
Those, I gotta say though, the thing is the market for that are basically is doctors, lawyers, surgeons.
Yeah, crazy people who just want it and it's in the corner.
And is basically is an asset class, right? I mean,
Yeah.
is a thing that
Absolutely.
appreciates in value. I mean, you buy it for like 80, like I think some of those guitars, right? Like McPherson's used to be like $3,500, $4,000. Now they're like $8,000, $12,000. They've like kind of at least they double and triple in value in less than 10 years.
That's it, man.
So-
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, I mean, if you buy a capo, it's not going to triple in value.
Better be a
but-
bloody good capo.
Yeah, I mean, it's nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, back to my journey, right? Just talking about value guitar. So I took classical guitar lessons, and that was like that was an opportunity for me to learn how to read music. I learned how to sight read. I learned how to play classical guitar at a basic level, and I took lessons, like probably classical guitar lessons, for about 2 years. And then I went to, I'm gonna do the short version, then we can jump anywhere you want.
Okay.
Then after I did the classical guitar lessons, I went to ICOM. So the long story was I was a pure science student, like meaning I did biology, physics, all those things. So I was like if I didn't do music, I was very close.
Hello. Hello.
Options. Now I'm more familiar with the like kind of game industry. I know people who make games for a living, but yeah. So but I didn't do that. I did music. I went to ICOM. I did my degree in arranging, and that was really useful because like I met so many of my music friends there that continue to be like really close friends. Melina William, I met her at ICOM. She was like the same batch. Rozhan was my one semester ahead of me. He was also my neighbor when we were kids, but that's another different story. And then
Bangsa?
I met Yeah, in Bangsa back in the day when I used to live in Bangsa. So I was in Bangsa, and then I moved to my family. We moved to Ampang, and so but when we were kids, we were neighbors. And my parents and his parents were like colleagues. They worked in. They were all reporters at one point, so they all know each other. So it's like, and it's not just him. Like there's a bunch of other musicians that my parents know their parents. So it's quite close knit actually. It's like people know each other. And so I was at ICOM. I graduated. I did my degree in arranging. I was gigging for about 2 years, and then I went to one of the big life-changing trips for me was I went to Devon, Newton Ferris, Devon in the UK for a guitar workshop. It was like a residential guitar workshop by this Irish guitarist by the name of Eric Roach.
I don't know him.
And
Like,
Eric,
I've seen your posts on him, but I don't know.
Eric, yeah, Eric. Eric was amazing. I mean, he used to write for Guitar Techniques magazine. So he had a column there, an acoustic guitar column there for years, and that's how I found out about him. So I went there, and it was my first time going overseas alone. So I was on this must flight. I kept having orange juice throughout the whole thing. And there was it was a very empty flight, like the whole row was kind of empty, a bunch of drunk people on the other side, and I was just having orange juice. And
I
and then I went.
the drunk person on the other side.
Anyway, I was so young, and I was just like, it's amazing that my parents. I mean, relatively speaking, that was the first time I traveled alone, and I went. Mind you, going to London, right, alone. And then there's a whole bunch of stories about my time there. But I went I went to Plymouth, and then from Plymouth went to Devon, and went for this guitar camp. It was a life-changing trip because it taught me how to play fingerstyle guitar, specifically percussive fingerstyle guitar, and I learned altered tunings like DAT-GAT, Open D, CGD, GAD, all these things from Eric. And that led me to making my first album. Eric said, I told Eric, I said, I was considering going to study with him. And he was teaching at Guildford, Academy of Contemporary, ACM in Guildford.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I really wanted to go there. And then he was the head of the guitar department there. And now, I mean, since he passed away a few years after that, but he told me, don't come to Guildford. Don't study with me. He said, make an album, make a record, record an album. So I was just like, okay, if you say so. And you're like, because he asked me, what do you want to be? I said, I want to be like you. He said, you want to be like you want to be an Irish guitarist? He was hilarious. So he was hilarious. Anyways, so anyway, he told me to record my album. So I wrote this music,
He gave good advice then.
And then so I recorded my album Acoustic Gestures and made 1,000 copies. Yeah, so that's where the album came from. Yeah, I used to have a copy, one of the 1,000 copies. So I did the record, and I recorded. It was released in December 2004, just before I went to Boston, to Berkeley. I went to Berkeley in 2005. And so then I was in Boston from 2005 to 2007. I came in as I wanted to study jazz composition as my major, and but what ended up happening was I added a second major in guitar performance. So I did jazz composition and guitar performance. So it took me I was a transfer student. I transferred credits from ICOM, and it took me about 6 semesters. And right after I graduated, I was teaching for the summer guitar sessions in Berkeley, which is the 1 week summer program. A guitar program. It's a 1 week program during the summer called Summer Guitar Sessions. Very prestigious program actually, but mostly high school students would be the people that would go for that. But I was a faculty, and I taught the fretboard harmony classes. So they had a beginner, intermediate, advanced class. Right after that, after teaching that, I moved to San Francisco. And I lived. I moved to San Francisco with like 3 friends. We all decided we're just gonna move coast to coast. I was either gonna move to New York City or move to San Francisco. Ended up moving to San Francisco, and then after that, I wanted to go to San Francisco Conservatory because Dusan Bogdanovic, who is this amazing classical guitar player who does contrapuntal guitar, and he's kind of an expert in polyrhythmic guitar. So I was like, I want to study with this one guy. When I arrived in San Francisco, later on I discovered he had, after living in San Francisco for like 10 years, he decided to move back to Europe. So when I arrived, I was just like, I just missed the chance to study with Dusan Bogdanovic. And so I found San Jose State University, and I did my master's there. So for 2 years, so I was kind of gigging in San Francisco for about a year. I did my master's for about 2 years in jazz studies, and then I was gigging for like less than a year, and then I moved back to Kuala Lumpur in 2011. My first big gig was with Reza Saleh at Day One Philharmonic Petronas for his sold out Day One Philharmonic Petronas show. Day One Philharmonic Petronas show. So we did that show. And since 2011, I've been back in Malaysia, and I've been teaching online and gigging, touring, you know, all these things that I do. And I mean, that leads me to where I am right now, where I'm, you know, most of the time now I'm developing online courses on guitar, and a lot of it in Malay. And I still do courses in English as well, but it's kind of a different audience for that. So yeah, that's my short history. So, you know, feel free to backtrack on any point of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories.
You didn't really, or correct me if I'm wrong, but you never really were really you never really get into the band scene at all as a member of bands, or did you?
Oh, I played in bands. I played in a lot of bands actually.
Cool. Let's talk about some of the bands.
I played in a lot of, I mean, I was playing
I think
for,
you're more known as a teacher and a educator and a content creator. Like, so let's talk about the bands you played in. Like,
so the bands, the first band I played when I was in Kuala Lumpur was Shelley Leong and the Jazz Odyssey. Shelley Leong's
you played Kel Sing Song, man. You played a couple of years Kel Sing Song.
Yeah. I played Kel Sing Song that you organized. You know, Kel Sing Song with Shelley Leong. So we played duo for that. Either duo or trio. I don't know whether Zalila played for that or Nisha played for that. But either duo or trio at Kel Sing Song. So anyway, Shelley Leong and Jazz Odyssey was a project, kind of another band, a jazz band by the singer-songwriter by the name of Shelley Leong. And she had her originals band, and she had this jazz band, Jazz Odyssey, that played all these jazz things. And one of my earliest band gigs with her was, we played Bangsa Shopping Complex on the weekend. We would play two 45-minute to an hour sets of like, you know, like Fly Me to the Moon, you know, Cry Me a River, all these jazz songs. And that was some of my earliest band kind of gigs. And then I got roped into her originals band. Then we would be playing her original music, and we played like what's the Mont Kiara Jazz Festival. We played Penang Island Jazz Festival as a band. We played like you know, Berjaya Times Square, like Merdeka Countdown, and we played a whole bunch of all these like band shows. And so that was my early band experience, was with that. But I played more bands when I was in San Francisco. I didn't play so many bands when I was in Berkeley, but when I was gigging in San Francisco, I played in a cumbia dub band called Candelaria.
A what?
So we played cumbia and dub, like dub. I was in a dub band. Yeah. We played like in San Francisco. We would play for like one of the gigs I really remember. It was all Latino audience, and they all were dancing. It was just like a dance band. It was really fun. We played house parties in Oakland, and then so that was one band. And then I was the kind of the sub guitarist for that band. You know, whenever I played a bunch of gigs, but I was never on their CDs, on their records. Really nice people. And then I played for the singer-songwriter Tara Linda in her band, and both for her jazz project and also for her Tex-Mex indie rock project. She called her style like kind of tortilla jazz. So it's kind of Tex-Mex plus indie rock. And she also played kind of like old-timey, she would say like jazzy blues or something like that. It's basically like old-timey 1930s, 1940s, like period jazz music, you know, swing and really slow stuff, really bluesy. And that particular project, I played a lot of shows with her. We recorded in Arizona, in Tucson at what's the name of the studio? We recorded with Craig Schumacher, who did Dvořáka and Calexico, like a lot of these really cool bands. And we recorded in a live room, right? That one, where the console was in the middle, and it's just like basically just a huge live room, and he had like so many guitars. It's just like guitars on the walls, old synthesizers, like a whole bunch of like guitars, amplifiers, different cabinets, things like that. Craig Schumacher, you know, is such a great engineer, award-winning engineer, multiple award-winning engineer for sure. recorded there. I also recorded with Tara in Texas, South Texas. We went to South Texas. The rest of the band, except for me and Rafa was the drummer, but the rest of the band was like all Texas, like trumpet players, this guy from Texas, like saxophone player from Texas. So I did like, different recordings. We did some recordings I did some recordings in Sacramento, some recordings in Arizona, some recordings in Berkeley. I also played another band called Planet Loop, and that's kind of like a jazz, kind of I guess like kind of jazz group, like basically like a jam band. Yeah, we played what was the festival in Santa Cruz? Santa Cruz, the Y2K like live looping festival. They have a festival where it's just like all people who do looping, different levels of looping, and like very complicated technical looping. And it's just like this really. So I played with them Planet Loop quite a fair bit as well, and that was electric guitar. It's just a lot of these things were electric guitar gigs. And so when I was in the US, I played so many electric guitar gigs. But anyone who knew me prior to me moving to the US would know me as an acoustic fingerstyle guitar player.
I think we still do know he's acoustic fingerstyle guitar player, not an electric
pretty
guitar
much.
player at all.
Yeah, I mean, you saw you saw me doing that 1 year. I played electric.
My first ever gig in Malaysia was that gig with you, Riz, and
Ken
Lim.
Lim. Playing electric.
That was your first ever gig in Malaysia?
Yeah, the collaboration in Murdercaria with
Yes,
Marina. Yeah,
He saw me play electric guitar.
Yeah.
that was the first time he saw me.
That night.
I just been in Malaysia. Just been in Malaysia a week, and Marina goes, "Oh, this is cool place. I
Crazy.
think you'll enjoy." Like it took me to,
Murdercaria.
and I was sitting there. I was going, I can see what they're trying to do, but this is not working in any way, shape, or form. It was all grand when, because who else? We had Ken on this podcast as well. Again, when we
And who's
discussed as well.
the other guy?
Riz.
Yeah. He
And
was
like
there.
when you all did your individuals thing, it was okay. But then when you try to do the collaboration, it just was not happening.
Nah, that was just in the moment. I mean, we were all so different. I mean, it's just like such a different sound altogether.
Riz is just pure blues rock. Ken
had a huge board at that time.
Ken had
Massive pedal
Ken
board.
had the Starship Enterprise and board trying to just do all.
I had a small board of
And
like
you were
8
doing
pedals.
finger picking
Ambient.
jazz kind of
Jazz and ambient looping kind of stuff.
just-
That was really different.
And I was just sitting there going, okay, but like, what needs? And I was just thinking, what really needs to get sorted out was the sound. So then after that gig, during that week, I'd message Mel and Brian and go, I've just moved here from Ireland. I think I can help you with your sound. Do you want a sound engineer? You don't need to pay me. And they go, oh, please come and help me. That's good, okay.
Yeah, crazy, right? How these things work out and just
So
the
that was-
story.
Well,
Kian, by the way, right?
in
I met
Vietnam.
him. The first time I met him was in San Francisco.
Are you
I
serious?
got a gig for him in San Francisco, and the second time I caught up with him was when he was still in London, and then the third time I met him, it was in Malaysia.
God.
We played. I had at that point I had a gig in this place called Coffee Adventures, which is like in the North Beach area of San Francisco. So it's basically kind of a tourist area, but there's a small cafe called Coffee Adventures. It's no longer there, and I would play like solo sets. So Kian, I think I don't know where he posted. He probably posted in Craigslist or something like that. And then he's like, I'm playing a Fringe festival like at another part, I think North Bay. He said, any gigs, possible, I would love to play somewhere. And I just replied him. I said, hey, I this is a really small place, but if you want to play, I know the people there. So that's how I met Ken. I gave him a gig, and I got him a gig at Coffee Adventures.
You'd never met him previously?
Never met him. I just knew that he was playing this Fringe thing. He was playing this Fringe festival, and he was from the UK, and I knew he was from Malaysia. He gave me his CD, and we kind of hung out for a bit. And then when I actually went to London, I met up with him, and we had lunch or something in London. And then the third time I met him, we met in Malaysia. So it's really interesting, all these things.
That's
Serendipity.
quite
Yeah.
That's the story, man.
Well, we have come to the end of the podcast, so like, thank you so much.
Fantastic.
So
Yeah,
normally,
Thanks so much, man.
Great,
so
yeah.
normally we always give the guest the last minute. So like, I'll start shouting out your all your sites and what you've got going
Okay.
for the next. These guys keep laughing because I always go hashtags, but I don't. Try not to say that anymore.
Yeah.
Try my best not to say hashtags anymore because I don't know how
Yeah.
to say it properly. But so, tell us what the last minute's over to you. Tell us what you've got coming up.
Yeah, I would say that if if you've been listening to this and you're interested in what I'm doing now, the best places to catch me on social media would be just on Instagram, instagram.com/azsamat. On Twitter, I tweet a lot, twitter.com/azsamat. On Facebook is different, and Facebook is facebook.com/azsamatmusic, MUSIC. So it's AZSAMADMUSIC. And so those are the three ones. You know, I have hundreds, literally hundreds and hundreds of videos on youtube.com/azsamat as well. And if you are interested in like learning guitar, or like you're interested in hearing from me every single day in Malay, I have an email newsletter called Surat Music, which is a daily email newsletter, and you can find links for that on on my Twitter, on my Facebook, on my Instagram as well. So that's probably the best places to catch. And for like my courses, if you go on any of my socials, you probably find a link to the courses, or you can just message me. I can link you to whatever course I'm working on at the moment. So those are the main things lah. And I guess one last thing is if you're watching this and you're a guitar player, and you're interested in like getting new courses every single month from me, and hanging out in a Zoom session, kind of like this, but we'll just be talking guitar. Club Guitar Asamat opens every month from the 1st to the 7th, and you
It's just a,
oh, he's
but,
back.
Record it lah. Oh, you're just gonna edit lah today.
but yeah, so it's been great lah.
Great.
Yeah, I think the most important one that I got was the
Sorry.
Rahsia major scale, hero major
Oh,
scale.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is kind of my life's work lah. That's like I think some of the best things I ever learned about guitar, understanding the entire fretboard, that is there. It's like it took so many teachers to get to that point to understand it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that video, by the way, was recorded in Hong Kong. That clip you see the background.
Okay.
It's not
Yeah.
my house, right? That's my friend's place in Hong Kong, and I was playing that when we recorded that. It was just the weekend before I played Hong Kong International Jazz Festival. Yeah, I played with Kevin and Adil. Kevin and Adil. Yeah, so that was the weekend before that festival that we played in Hong Kong. So that's why the background's like that. Huh?
Macam green color background like Brandon.
Yeah, it's like there's like soft toys and all these different things. Yeah, Rasi jadi hero major scale. It's the only one that is like recorded elsewhere.
Well, guys, we've really come to the end. I apologize for the last minutes.
It's okay, man.
Internet
Welcome
crash.
back.
My internet completely crashed. I don't know why, but
Oh
like
my
I
God.
apologize for that. Like, so, Az, thank you so much for being our guest on the podcast this week.
Thanks so much for having me. It's such a pleasure
man.
to
It's
hear
an
you
absolute
guys.
pleasure for having you been on. It's
Yeah.
good to see you again. And
Good to
so,
see you.
be safe. As a Man podcast, we are out.
Bye, man. Take care.